Hi, I'm Leonard Maltin.
And I'm David Gerstein, editor of Gemstone Publishing's Walt Disney Treasures comic albums and Mickey and the Gang classic stories in verse.
And here's Cannibal Capers. Now, this, of course, invites automatic, knee-jerk reactions for a lot of people who, are offended by the mere depiction of cannibals the way they are shown in this cartoon. No one needs to be reminded of that. This is political incorrectness to the nth degree. But it was commonplace at the time this cartoon was made. Some people will try to attack Walt Disney for images like this as if he invented these images, or as if he alone were perpetrating them. And that's just not the case. You'll see them in every cartoon studio's work, and in many comic strips, caricatures, panel cartoons of the day.
I'll go as far as to add that in this particular cartoon, it's almost like parodies of parodies. It's less than a caricature of real individuals misperceived from Africa. We're actually seeing here what looked more like the studio had taken a look at the kinds of, more realistically proportioned humans that other studios drew as cannibals and decided to go totally off of the deep end and do something that was the soul of abstraction.
Absolutely. I mean, talk about odd proportions. Really and truly. I mean, the downside of that is that they didn't consider these cannibals to be real human beings. And I suppose that's true. Again, I think a cartoon like this, which raises so many sensitivities and so many issues, can be seen in a number of different ways depending on your own sensitivities and your own background.
Sensitivities and backgrounds to classical music, for example.
Yes. A little bit of Carmen. I don't know that Carmen was played that often in The Deepest Jungle, but in this cartoon,
those rare times that they played it, it was a classic.
That's right. Bizet has made his way to Africa. This character is so completely abstract that when he or she, I'm not sure which, loses his or her skirt, there isn't even a way to explain the nudity.
The character
there's a bowling ball there.
The character is less an actual human figure and more a assemblage of body parts and lines, more a stick figure incongruously translated into 3 dimensions. And in that way, it's actually rather similar to the ostrich in Mickey Mouse's Galloping Gaucho, whose body was often prone to coming off of its legs.
Now here comes another stereotyped character in an unlikely guise.
Yes, it's a little bit of a Jewish caricature if you notice the way that his nose is drawn, and also that in just a moment you're going to get to watch the dance develop into an authentic Yiddish Prisyatskas. Oy vey.
I'd wager that many audiences were not familiar with that music, but it signified to them something foreign, if not distinctively Hebrew or Jewish.
And I'm sure that Jewish audiences at the time would have actually recognized it in a positive way. I've seen that dance take place in my own family's synagogue.
Of course, racial and ethnic humor were just the order of the day. That's what people saw and enjoyed in vaudeville. In fact, it's one of the reasons vaudeville was so popular with the common man, is that after that first wave of immigration in the late 19th and early 20th century, people enjoyed going to the theater and seeing themselves depicted, even if in a broad, burlesque kind of way. And that led to Italian dialect comics, Dutch dialect comics,
Jewish dialect comics,
and so forth down the line. Some people are very uncomfortable with this today, I realize, but it's the way it was then.
It's comics fans who are probably going to be pleased by the next sequence, insofar as Floyd Gottfredson, the great mouse man behind many of Mickey Mouse's greatest comic strip adventures, in between this sequence of the lion rushing out of the jungle.
Did he do much animation at this time?
It's not very well known. Gottfredson, in an interview, discussed having done the Cannibal Capers sequence and stated that he hadn't done much else. Now, this scene here marks the work of Ben Sharpstein, one of the very best animators on the Disney staff at the time.
Look how expressive this lion is.
Notice when he grins, the way that the corner of his smile turns down just a little bit. That's a standard Sharpstein identifying trait. Different animator here, though. Does your tobacco taste different lately?
Or does your chewing gum lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight?
Poor little guy. Interesting use of a cycle right there.
Yes, and still synchronizing the music on every beat. Everything is still to that musical beat.
Notice how different the cannibal and the lion look in this scene. Again, the fact that Disney wasn't using consistent model sheets in early 1930 shows the way that characters could almost change identity from one scene to the next.
And here's another stock gag. This was used so many times, although here it's a nice variation to have this pygmy cannibal, you might say, acquire the lion's teeth.
And give it to him right in the end. The lion is almost a humanoid character at this point, right down to his underwear.
With that recognizable flap in the back of the long johns.
Oh yes, are we going to get to see it open? Doesn't need to. Now, here's a final sequence that has only recently been restored to this film. For many years, the film ended right after the cannibal bit the lion where the sun don't shine, but actually we go a little bit farther now to witness his final triumph.
Because if we're going to be really inclusive here, let's remember cannibals have feelings too.
Aw, there we go.